Hello, my lovely loves. How you doing? Before we start the video of our theories portion, I gotta jump in with a brief announcement. We interrupt this program to bring you some important messages. So after we recorded the first part of the podcast, I did some research because Erica asked about the number 42, maybe being significant in Shakespeare. And there's definitely a place where numbers come up in Shakespeare a whole lot, and that is the sonnets. So I went back, I researched sonnet number 42.
Sonnet 43, not 42, 43.
What negative spirits? Not Gideon.
You know about Gideon.
Fuck it, Howard. I've done 43 shows in this building. Of course I know about Gideon. Shh.
So when you Google Sonnet 43, the first thing to come up is not Shakespeare. Oh no, it is a very famous poem by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. It's that poem that we all know, How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways. And this poem is very interesting because it is about the deepest adoration, devotion, just unending, unmatched love, eternal love, unconditional love, love as you would have for God, but this person is not speaking to God because they say in the poem, if God choose. So if it were God that they were talking to, they would just be saying you. So this sounds a whole lot like the love a mother would feel for a child, this spiritual, infinite, eternal love, this unconditional love. It's exactly what my mama would say about me. So there's that element that can be read into it. Now, when you look at Shakespeare's Sonnet 43, that also connects to Only Murders in the Building because it is a sonnet all about seeing someone in your dreams, someone who shines so brightly. They shine even brighter in real life, but you see them in your dreams every night, and they brighten your nights. Any day without this person, it's just like night. They're just a bright, shining light. That's what this sonnet is all about. And it reminded me of, obviously, Loretta being the lighthouse. We've gotten the Statue of Liberty, which is a lady lighthouse. And there's all of these references in Salome to the moon, moonlight. Salome herself gets compared to the moon a lot. And another mention of dreams in Only Murders in the Building was Jonathan singing 3 songs when Mabel and Taubert were at that restaurant. And each of those songs were about dreams. He was singing Meet Me Tonight in Dreamland. And I didn't think much of it at the time, but now that I see this dream reference in Sonnet 43, it seems like that is trying to tell us something. So for me, it connects to Loretta because she's getting compared to this lighthouse all the time. And we're guessing Loretta is a mother or an aunt to Dickie or Ben. So it's possible that whoever killed Ben was really, really in love with him. Maybe it was his mother. Howard does have that speech from Ashes to Ashes that says, I'll never rest until we are together like we're meant to be. And the final line of the Elizabeth Barrett Browning poem is, I shall but love thee better after death. So there's a lot of love here, and there's dream references. So still trying to figure out how it all fits together, but I'm just saying this probably isn't there for no reason.
I'm putting a bunch of links for sonnet analysis from my favorite websites when I need to do some Shakespeare research. That's all going to be in the description. So if you want to check that out, happy Shakespeareing. And please let me know if you have further thoughts about this, or if you think I'm crazy and just reading too far into it, which could be totally the case. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay, then the next thing I wanted to talk about was all these Shakespeare plays that have gotten mentioned so far. I really wanted to go back and look at them deeper and see if there's some common themes that resonate also in Only Murders. So the commonalities between Hamlet, Richard II, As You Like It, and Merry Wives of Windsor all have this theme of disguise and deception in them. So in Hamlet, right? Constantly, Hamlet is pointing out how disgraceful he finds his uncle and his mother for putting on this act, this outward show of emotion or sorrow, when inside, they're not really grieving at all. And Hamlet puts on a play inside a play. And also, Hamlet is fascinated by actors, their ability to just conjure up emotion on the surface, while inside, they don't feel that way at all. They are not that person. And then Hamlet himself devises a plan to act as if he's going mad in order to manipulate his mother and uncle to uncover their guilt. There's a lot of mask wearing, and there's a lot of talk of playing characters and putting on a facade in Hamlet. In Richard II, there's also a major theme of the difference between appearance and reality, the inner person versus the outer image, the deception of that image. So the character of Richard II, he has this tendency to act like he's the king as if he's performing the part of a king in a theatrical production. He really enjoys the ceremony, the ceremonial aspect of being king. He loves to speak in flowery, poetic, kingly language, while in reality, inside, he's not a king at all. He's very selfish. He doesn't care for his country. It's all an act just to present as king would. And in As You Like It, we know that Charles, the namesake of Charles in that play, was the court wrestler. So that was telling us that Charles is the one who punched Ben. So cool. I love that. And there's also obvious themes in As You Like It, which I've discussed, about outward appearance being deceptive as a means of escape and protection. The example being Rosalind disguises herself as a man. A lot of disguises are worn in As You Like It. And then the Merry Wives of Windsor was briefly mentioned. And I didn't even think to point out that, there's obviously another example of many people wearing disguises and costumes. A lot of the time it's men dressing as women in Merry Wives, but almost every character in that play wears some sort of a mask. For example, Ford dresses in disguise as Brooke to catch his wife, who he believes is having an affair. I would love to hear from anyone who has more insight about these Shakespeare connections. You can think of more connections to Only Murders in the Building. I have to say, my crazy theater brain is very delighted. It's my favorite part of this season, is all of the Shakespeare clues. So let me know if you can find any more. I also plan to do more research on the play Ashes to Ashes and, see what else I can dig up, pun intended. I want to know how this play relates to Only Murders. So after I did a little more Googling, I found a brief synopsis of the play, you can see, that says a woman in the play is haunted by appalling memories of genocide, deportation, and most disturbingly, a tenderly recalled masochistic erotic relationship with a modern Herod-like infanticide. And in fact, she may never have experienced these things at all. So when I saw Herod-like, I was like, oh my God, Salome. And it also reminded me of Loretta quoting the Edna St. Vincent Millay poem, Recuerdo, with Oliver on the ferry, which is all about memories. And the very next line, which I hate that it took me this long to realize, the very next line after "we were very tired, we were very merry, we had gone back and forth all night on the ferry" is "we hailed good morrow, mother, to a shawl-covered head, and bought a morning paper, which neither of us read." So more mother stuff. And really, all signs seem to be pointing to Loretta at this point, right? With all of these clues. So is this too obvious? Does this mean that she is probably not the killer? Maybe. Do let me know what you think. All right, that is all I have to say. And now Paul and I are going to record another murder mystery film review, Dial M for Murder. Woo! So excited. One of my faves. I'm Hitchcock crazy lady. So if you haven't already checked out Paul and I's Clue film review, the shorter version of that is on public YouTube with an extended cut on Patreon. That's patreon.com/perfectlymarvelouspodcast. Check it out. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
You just
All
see
right.
like a tail on my shoulder. Okay.
Yes. So, guys, y'all, this is a lizard on Kara's shoulder, which has disappeared into the background. So when you see a tail, just
or a foot,
mysterious
it's my bearded
foot.
Dragon. It's fine.
Yes, it's fine. Don't be concerned.
Oh God.
Pay no attention to the lizard behind the curtain. Okay, theory time. I am very excited to hear what you say because we missed you last week, and you said that you had a revelation in your mind. I don't know if you heard what my theory.
Yes,
my cracked out theory.
I enjoyed it,
but I don't know how much I still believe it. I think it was. Yeah. I think what's happening is that I have wishful thinking that I really just want it to be Meryl Streep because wouldn't that be awesome? So I might be overthinking things a little bit. And I think that because everyone is basically taking it for granted at this point that Ben is a twin, I'm trying to not go in that direction on principle, because you and I do this thing where we don't go with the crowd because it's just because it's a crowd.
I don't want it to be true. Now Daryl's a ghost popping in and out. Like Gideon. There you go. It's true though.
Daryl's
like the character. More that people are assuming things, which is another reason why I've tried not to look at anything. The only thing that really pops up is different Facebook comments. But when I texted you guys, I had been rewatching again the episodes while I was working. And, that first episode, we were making comments about like, not the first episode, was that episode 3 where Mabel and Tobert go into Ben's apartment?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. And, Dickie comes in and he's all angry. He's like, okay, I'll let her know, which we assume is him, talking about Loretta, not Meryl, getting that role. And he picks up a jade egg and hurls it.
Everyone says it's a jade egg. It's called a dinosaur, or no, it's called a cobra egg from Cobra. She never says jade. Mabel never says jade. This is another thing people are like almost taking for granted.
But if you look at it, the color of it is a jade egg.
Right.
Like, but I think, and for Cobra, like an egg for the Cobra, I could see them having like giant jade eggs, like greeny reptile things. Like that, I can understand. It just seemed so weird that there was an egg and that he hurled it. And it just seems...
Yeah.
And the only other mention, of course, is Cinda Canning with the jade egg between her legs. And
it's so random.
Right? Like, I was like, I don't know, like that feels almost too coincidental to me. But I could see Cinda also ending up being some other sort of red herring where she was really trying to get Mabel to podcast with her. And maybe she and Dickie were, they either wanted to have a faked attempt on Ben's death, or they actually wanted to kill him. Like maybe she and Dickie were dating. I don't know. And they tried to kill him. It didn't work. He gets pissed, and all because she wanted her popular murder podcast back. But Daryl, I'm sorry, she's crawling to the
restless
keyboard. But I was just like, that just seems too weird to not come up at all. So I could also see it being one of those things that they throw in on the last couple of episodes to make us think like, oh, we finally got it, and then we don't. So that was my first thought. The other one is, one, I'm 100% convinced that Loretta is Dickie's mom, with all of the photos in that scrapbook having Dickie in the background. I think it's too obvious. I don't think she's like obsessed with Ben. I don't think she's secretly Ben's mom. I'm convinced that it's Dickie. The one thing
you're thinking that the article, that the rap.com article, which I'll link again, listeners, if you haven't seen it. Yeah, where they mention listing all of the characters, and they have a brief description. When they mention Dickie, they just call him the adoptive brother.
I felt so after I listened to you and Erica talk yesterday, and that was I didn't know about that article. And when I heard you say that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, somebody let that out there and let it slip.
And no one noticed it for weeks later. Only just like
that's what's crazy.
So
then I felt if she is like, if he's adopted and it's not Loretta, like that, okay, that'd be weird, I guess, or I don't see why that would be included. But I felt proud of myself for I will if that ends up being right. I was like, okay. The other thing that popped up was basically, and I'm sure this has to have been mentioned elsewhere because it also seems too obvious, was Loretta and Oliver talking about how he just happens to have that joint that was probably rolled from him, and they were at the same party. And I don't know if it would be too weird or too obvious if Oliver ended up being Dickie's father somehow.
Okay, so
but
viewers, listeners, y'all, Kara has not looked at any Reddit stuff. I've looked at a couple of YouTube things, and I've looked a little bit on Facebook. But other than that, theories-wise, I haven't. And when I say I looked a little bit on Facebook, I mean a very, very little bit. So I don't really know what people are saying right now. But what you're talking about, people have brought that up. Yes.
Okay. Because I was like, as I was sitting there thinking, I was like, there's no way that this hasn't come up. But I could see it happening. But
do you think that they're really going to do it?
I don't think they're going to do it. I think they could fake us out with it, though.
They did an
as
Oliver,
a possibility.
But
paternity
they did an Oliver,
thing.
Yeah, that was second season. So
the only thing that made me think that they could possibly still do it is that his son that he thought was his turned out not to be, and now he has a son that he didn't even know about, and they do like that kind of parallel crap. But I still don't think it'll be true. I think it could be a fake out, because I just I don't know. I'm
But there
convinced
is
that
something to the fact that Ben is 40 years old and that party was 40 years ago. Like,
yes,
we're all
like,
doing math. We can all math
it's
at least that
weird.
much.
And Loretta and Oliver and Dickie, like, and I don't know. I think that Dickie does not know that Loretta is his actual mom. I'm assuming that's not the case, even
Okay.
after Ben has passed away. And that either Ben thinks that Loretta is being predatory towards Dickie, or he found out what was actually going on, and that's the reasons why he didn't trust her.
No, see, I
Excuse
think
me.
that it's definitely got to be something with Loretta where I'm sorry, but you do not, as a man, put your hands on a woman like that unless they've done something bad to you. You
Yeah,
just don't. I just don't get the sense that, I mean, he seemed a little lechy, like when he came, I just really had an issue with the way he walked in that room and just came right on to hit on Kimber.
Well, yeah,
But
that was
that
creepy.
just skeeved me out. Okay, so it said he spoke badly about Dolly Parton, or he said something mean about Dolly Parton, which is like, you do no,
Mhm.
sir, you do not know.
No,
He
not
sent a
Dolly.
weird letter to Queen Latifah, some like anonymous letter to Queen Latifah. I don't know. There was like a bunch of things in this article that talk about him. So he's not a
He's
good
kind of
guy.
creepy.
He's a creep,
That's
right?
like,
But I just
but
don't think he's so like out of it that he would put his hands on Loretta if she wasn't really threatening
yeah,
him in some.
that's the thing. Like, there's gotta be some,
She's
and
got
okay,
dirt on him. She knows
but
something about him.
the main thing that it just watching Saz pop up, I
Yeah.
was just like, what if instead of like a freaking twin or something, it's one of Ben's stunt doubles, and they have coordinated some sort of ridiculous, either, you know,
That would be so good.
theory, like, you know, like, because, and everybody keeps talking about the twin thing, and I was like, I hate how common theory is now, from what, like, even news articles,
People,
when I'm
do you realize
trying
that
to
people are
avoid
basically
shit.
taking it for granted, Kara? People
I
are
don't like
operating
that.
now with that as like
Ugh.
canon knowledge. I'm like, this is not
If
canon,
that
guys.
ends up being true, I will be disappointed. I would enjoy it more
Me
if it was a
too.
stunt double played by like Paul Rudd or something that they just made look a little, and that would explain more of the poorly like placed tattoos like getting mixed up. I don't know. And Dickie, I still think Dickie is involved somehow,
Yeah,
or
100%.
Loretta, but I don't know if Loretta is involved to the point that maybe she thought Dickie did something, or she suspected that he had some sort of ill will towards Ben, and she's assuming he did something and she
Yeah.
killed him to cover it up, because we know how.
That was one of your first guesses. When you brought
Yeah,
it up, it made me so happy because it was so Agatha Christie and so perfect.
it
I
would
don't
make
mind things being
sense.
on the nose like that. I mean, maybe a little on the nose because it's exactly
Yeah.
like the elephant thing. It's exactly like the play. It's exactly,
Yes.
well, I don't know if there's a lot of other play references we have where mothers save their sons. That's
Yeah.
something, or mothers save their children. There's a lot
Yeah.
of child getting taken away from mother references
Yes.
in all these plays. There's a
And she
big,
regrets it. It is absolutely a regret, I think, that she
yeah,
quote unquote abandoned this child.
yeah.
And I could, like, she would do anything, and I could see that being, you know, covering up his, like, a murder he committed, or helping him finish one off. And all of this talk about, you know, all the play references when we're talking about brothers conspiring against brothers, brothers killing brothers.
But I don't think they're giving us this many characters for no reason. I think it's going to be multiple
Yeah.
murderers, if not like an Orient Express situation. Cliff has been out of the picture. We have not heard a lot from Cliff. So we don't know anything about his backstory. In my opinion, definitely not related to
No.
Donna. That would just be gross. He's
I thought
also
that. I was like,
adopted.
maybe we're just assuming, like, we do keep having these reactions to them being intimate. I'm like, are they actually really,
They're
like, is that going to be a
making out in front of
reveal
people. Yeah.
that they're like, that would be, but
They're
what
not
a
related.
weird
No. So if
thing.
you
Like,
got but this is what I'm
but
saying.
if-
You got two adopted people in the same show. Dickie was adopted, and
yeah,
clearly Cliff is not her biological son. So two adopted people, I don't know. Wouldn't it be cool if they were brothers and that mattered somehow? I just
yeah.
don't know. This is the thing, okay? This is the big question. If Loretta's related to Dickie, Kara, why the secrecy? What's with this secrecy? Who cares
What do
then?
you mean?
Why can't she publicly say this is my son? Why is she hiding?
Well, I mean, depending on legally how the adoption was, there's a possibility that it was a closed adoption and she would be not permitted to contact him at any point.
Okay, the
She would
lawyer
have to
speaks. The
wait
lawyer speaks.
like
Thank
for
you.
him to reach out to her. So that was a possibility.
Okay.
But also, like, who knows if she has been that obsessive for that
Yeah.
long that she's keeping, let's say if Dickie is
Let me
her
get a juice.
son, okay, that she gave up. I was like, tell the listeners or the watchers, like, I'm still talking because I know she can hear me with her headphones in. But they
I had to go get a juice, guys.
yeah. But if Dickie is her son that at some point she had to give up for adoption, and she has been keeping this scrapbook over the years with, you know, what but Ben's mentions also all involve Dickie. Those pictures, every single one had Dickie in the background too. And if she has been that obsessive, I could see her being hesitant as to how to approach it. And she's probably also idealized it and dreamt up, you know, this wonderful reveal in circumstance where she can finally sit down with him and say, I'm your mother. And then who knows, maybe she saw Dickie coming out of Ben's dressing room and made an assumption that Dickie tried to kill him, and that's why she hasn't said anything, because if she was trying to protect him, she could have pushed him down the elevator. She could, like, I could see her taking responsibility and to protect him in some way.
I really think that's what it is. It's what my gut's telling me.
What throws me out is that theory flip? Like, do people think she's Ben's mom? Like, is that
everyone thinks she's Ben's mom?
I just don't. I mean,
people
now
think
that we know that there was that
too obvious
article, like, if she's Ben's mom, that would make less sense now that we know that there was an article that said Dickie was.
It would make more sense because of all the secrecy, but now that you say no matter whose mom, famous person or not, she wouldn't be able to speak, just because when it's a closed adoption, you can't do that. It's like a legal thing. I did not know. So this actually,
those were more common back in the day, especially with younger women who had children.
Yeah,
you know,
of course. So yeah, everyone is saying we get it. She's Ben's mom because she's being secretive about it. If she was Dickie's mom, a lot of people just are like, why the secrecy? If it's Dickie, you know, he doesn't have a reputation to ruin. But no, what you're saying makes sense. So I really just get the feeling that she's not Ben's anything. I think that Dickie and Cliff, are going to turn out to be related brothers, in my opinion. I think this is what's going to happen. I think I said twins. I said twins more on the last podcast, and probably not, because they're way different. The actors are like 10 years apart in age. So they're probably going to be brothers. And I don't know. I don't know what this whole thing is about, though. Like, why the killing? Why the murder?
Because I like your idea and how you pointed out with the, you know, the showrunners and the writers being like, well, you know, season 3.
I also think I'm way over
3 killers, but I could see it like 3 killers in terms of, let's say, I still like my.
If it's not 3 killers, I'll be mad, because I know I like when things make sense, like you. Like, numbers
it's all
like that would be
organized in parallel. 1, 2, 3.
But come on now.
There's gotta at least be 2, or maybe it would be 3 killers, in the sense where, you know, like throwing out if somehow Dickie is conspiring with someone, whether it's Cinda Canning or Loretta, and somebody separately pushed him down the elevator. There's still 3 people involved.
Right.
And like the Cinda Canning thing, while I could see it, like I could still see it. And I don't think the Jade egg thing is a coincidence. So it might be a red herring, but I don't think it's a coincidence. I was like, are they, or were Cinda Canning and Ben like sleeping together and working together to try to, like, did he fake his own death to try to, you know, raise publicity for the show? I don't know. Dickie finds out, gets pissed, shoved him down the elevator. Loretta then covers up for Date, like something. I still think Loretta and Dickie are important to it. But with Cinda, I don't know, like I would also just really like it if Cinda Canning was like podcaster turned murderer, attempted murderer, to try to keep that going. After
I thought that would be, I think that Cinda's here for a reason. I hope she is. I hope she's here to play. Tina Fey can play, and I really want to see her. If if Meryl Streep is not the murderer, then Tina Fey murderer, I would
really enjoy that. And I do also like the idea of the possibility of Ben having a stunt double or something instead of a twin. Like, I don't want it to be a twin.
I really like the stunt double idea, Kara. You have
like-
no idea how much I like this idea. You have no idea how much I
but
like.
I
this
thought
idea.
for a second when
Yes.
Howard looked out into the audience and saw, the guy standing there, I was like, oh, it kind of looks like Ben in like that coat and like the little hat, and I was like, but what if it's his stunt double? What if we're supposed to think it looks like Ben? So, and I just
Mind
the only
blown.
reason
Good
I
one,
thought
good
of that
one.
was because of Saz and how like she and Charles, like, it's so funny. I love that. And the fact also, since I wasn't here last week, the joke that when she came in and said she had been working as the stunt double for Scott Bakula,
And she just stopped, drops, and rolls for
Yes,
no reason. She's
I
like, yeah, want to see my roll real quick? I'm
lost
like,
it.
yes,
I was
Jane
like, that was
Lynch.
a wonderful callback to the pilot with Steve Martin and Oliver being like, oh, I thought you were the other one, like Scott Bakula, and then he goes, oh, you're the other one. And how much people mixed up Steve Martin and Scott Bakula back in the day. It made me
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that connection.
so happy.
Kara, you're so good.
I loved
Nice
it.
catch.
But
That is hilarious.
Yes. I don't have
I think that was my most marvelous
Yeah.
moment last week.
That makes sense. Because it was so good. I love them together too. Jane Lynch is making me happy.
I'm trying to guess things. I almost feel like intentionally, just so I'll be right, because I think I know where the writing's going. I'm not even guessing necessarily on evidence. I'm just kind of going on my gut.
Yeah.
That's what's always told me that Loretta is the murderer from the beginning. Just I had a gut feeling. Really, I don't have a whole lot to back up why I think, Cliff and Dickie are brothers. Like, I don't know why I think these things, not because of clues, because I think it would make a good writing choice that no one would expect. So I feel like I'm being a bad detective because I'm just trying to guess against the show. I'm just playing a game with Hulu right
Poppy,
now.
like thinking about Poppy and Jan as the murderers, that's another thing that got me going. Is like, we did not have little tidbits throughout the season that led up to them being the murderer. And with it came kind of out of left field. And knowing the characters, though, it makes sense. And so with Cinda and Ben, they're both highly motivated by fame and attention, and they're both a little shady. So I could see them working together, trying to figure out a way to get, this show off the ground and get Ben like more publicity. And then Cinda could obviously benefit from that. And trying to get Mabel to work with her. Like, I feel like that is all somehow connected. But at the same time, the stunt double thing,
this is so good. I just love that explanation for the tattoos, because I know there's going to be an explanation, and for some reason I really don't think it's a twin. It's got to be the stunt double.
Because I could see it like somebody, like
so good,
some idiot stunt double or so. Like, I don't know. Trying to sit down and come up with something concrete was almost impossible at this point. So I was like, what would make sense with what we know?
You know what I do think, though? Yeah, what makes sense with what we know, exactly what you're saying, is that there is no evidence to support that Ben is a twin other than these damn tattoos. Therefore, I know it's not the Ben twin. It just can't be. It's too Agatha Christie 101.
All of the mother stuff with Loretta and all of these themes about doing what you will to like protect your child and kill for him. Maybe it's not as on the nose that Loretta is the one who like pushed Ben down the elevator shaft, but I still think she's somehow involved with protecting Dickie in some way.
That's what I mean. I think it's going to come out that she is the killer, but she did it because if she didn't, then her son would have been on the line. That's I mean, like I think it's she directly did it herself. Like her hands were the reason that Ben died, but her heart is like because of the children.
It wasn't some vendetta. I wouldn't think. Like, I don't think she would just kill Ben for the fun of it, but if she was killing Ben to protect Dickie, either in that he was doing something to Dickie, she thought Dickie had tried to kill him, he was threatening Dickie in some way, then I could totally see it.
Oh, question that I had from last time before I forget. Who do you think wrote Death Rattle?
Had you
thought of it until you heard me bring it up on the podcast? Because I haven't heard anyone mention who wrote Death Rattle. When it occurred to me, I was like, oh, that's meaningful. It's got to be meaningful. Who wrote the damn play?
I just figured Oliver did. Like, that was how.
No, Oliver didn't. He got the call. This is a Broadway show you've never heard of. He got that call.
Did he?
Yeah, Oliver did not write Death Rattle. He rewrote it and repackaged it to be a musical of
Okay.
Death Rattle
I was
Dazzle.
like,
But
I
no,
didn't
who wrote Death
register.
Rattle and who hired Oliver? Who is this mystery person behind Death Rattle? And that's why I'm thinking it's going to turn out that Cliff and or Dickie or both of them wrote the
Well,
play.
did Donna and Cliff not hire Oliver?
They did.
Okay. So
And I
don't
think
know.
because he's a has-been and they needed a crazy director to take on this crazy
yeah.
project, because what
Well, it
director
made
takes on a
sense.
project with a problematic star and and a script by an unknown
It was
anonymous person?
consistent with his splash,
Yeah.
idea being absolutely ridiculous. But no, I hadn't thought about it because I was just like, oh, it's Oliver's play.
I think that's going to become
Oh.
significant, whoever
I
wrote
could
that
see
play.
it.
Because the play's the thing, Hamlet, again, you
Yeah.
know? The
And that
play's
made me
got to
happy.
mean, yeah,
In
the
which I'll
play's got to
catch the
mean something.
conscience of the king. Yeah.
I think that the play,
Ugh.
because who has money for all this shit? Like, why is Donna doing this? I don't know if we're just supposed to suspend our logical disbelief to believe that
But
a
they
Broadway show could
actually
happen.
think it'll be successful.
They go really
Yeah.
far to make this Broadway show look fucking batshit crazy. None of this
Yeah.
could ever happen in the real world. So I
No.
think that Donna's got to have something to the reason that she's producing this. Either she wrote it herself, or Cliff did, or she knows someone who wrote. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Cliff is the one who wants to do the musical so bad. He's so jazzed about this musical. He's really into it.
But she
to make
did
the show
say
happen.
that, what do we say about your ideas, or what do we know about your taste? Yeah, it's bad. So it's like, maybe,
So
I don't know.
do you not think that that Death Rattle was like set up to fail? Because that's a pretty obvious.
It's interesting.
Like
I don't. That's the thing. Like, I could see that being a part of it, and who knows? Like, maybe Cliff is the one working with Syndicate, like something ridiculous. But I could see it being set up to fail. The only thing that made me hesitate with that is how, like, everybody was gung-ho about Splash. And so I feel like in this universe we're in, the taste levels and like the reality of
the Splash was by Teddy, though, and Teddy can be convinced of anything, as we saw. Oliver says it. He says, give me 5 minutes in a room with anyone and I can convince them of anything. And I think it was Mabel who was like, no.
Yeah.
And
so
usually he can, though. So I think that Teddy had a reason to back that show. But what is the reason for Donna backing this kind of a show? Now it doesn't even have a star. But can I make a prediction? Prediction time. Matthew Broderick is coming in now that Charles has quit the show.
Yes.
Matthew Broderick's coming in to replace Charles. I thought it was Jonathan.
Yes.
I thought it was to replace Ben.
I'm 100% on board with that.
The constable.
I think that could be interesting. I could see Charles getting a little jealous or pissy or something about that too.
For sure.
But I don't know. So, like, I like the idea of the play somehow being involved in this overall mystery, though.
Yeah, and I could also see it. I mean, I don't want to see it that Loretta's evil, but I could see it.
Yeah.
Where
I have a hard time seeing
is a crazy psycho. I don't think that's the way they're going with it. But did you find it suspicious at all that she took Oliver's tooth? The more and more I thought about it, she gave him something, but he never really looked down at it. And I'm like, maybe she wants his DNA because, like you're saying, there's this father
what if
theory.
She thinks
Could Oliver
he's the dad?
Yeah, and she wants like a sample of his or something. I don't know. Maybe
I had that thought when his tooth came out and he was in her apartment.
So extreme.
What the fuck is happening?
But you can tell any kind of DNA from a tooth. A tooth will tell you everything, you know?
Yeah. And it's kind of. So is there.
If not a paternity test, maybe she wanted his tooth DNA to like test him for other things, like nefarious experiments. I don't know. Is Loretta a scientist? A mad scientist? I don't know. If Loretta's
too much in this freaking show. I don't think she's evil. I think that she's a mother that is going to be doing whatever she can to protect her son, Dickie.
I have a feeling that
watch it be so wrong. Like, I can't. I want all the episodes now.
I know. I have a feeling, though, that whoever wrote the play is something to do with Loretta. I feel like if someone were to write a nanny character, and turns out that was their mother's best friend who always took care of them. Turns out that person's Loretta. Turns out Dickie wrote Death Rattle. That's his mom. I don't know.
That would be interesting.
And that's another reason why Dickie didn't want to do the musical. He wanted to get Loretta out of there and not do the musical. He was like, God, no.
Yeah.
Let's go. Cliff wanted to do the musical, so Dickie's the only person who didn't want Razzle Dazzle to happen. That also seems suspicious. Really getting the sense that Dickie wrote this play. But
that would be a fun twist.
And also it kind of would make sense too why if Loretta knew that she was written specifically as this person in the play, she wanted to make her nanny very different, very like give her a crazy accent. Like when she was asked to just use her own voice, she was like, oh God, no, I don't want to do that. Like she doesn't want to be herself. So maybe she's trying to disguise the character so it doesn't seem like, hi, I am this person.
Oh my gosh.
Walking in off the street. Instant nanny. Okay, tell me what you think of this. At this point, she comes out and she goes, oh, wow. And she seems like a fairy. This is beautiful. The way that she says, oh, wow. It got me, when I first watched the episode, it got me so suspicious. I'm like, why would a New Yorker have that reaction? Like if she's lived in New York as long as it looks like she has. As long as, she would never go, oh, wow. I haven't even lived in New York probably as long as Loretta. And I could never imagine being that shocked
at nighttime.
On a ferry boat. But I don't know. I could be reading way too far into this. Make of it
either that or I don't know. Because I remember thinking that I was like, is she just that like easily excitable? Like, I guess it's possible that she hadn't been on a ferry and stayed in her apartment, but if she had been going on auditions all these years and trying to put herself out there, it seems odd that she wouldn't have experienced all the typical New York things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Loretta.
So what do you make of this? Yeah, everyone has been making such a thing of like, what is this thing? And there's like a shape behind on top of the card here. It's like a big cutout card thing. People have zoomed in on this people have zoomed in on it in Facebook, and they've like gotten really into the image and flipped the image, and they're like, something's a cutout. I cannot make out words here. To save my life, if anyone has a theory about this, please let us know.
What the heck does that
say? Merry Christmas Aunt Loretta card. It doesn't even really look like it was made by a child. The handwriting kind of looks adult.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. If anyone can tell me.
That's
another clue for me though, thinking that she's not the mother. There's not really too many hard clues to go on. I'm going a lot of gut here.
No, that's the problem.
There were some unanswered questions that I had from last episode. We answered a lot of them, but there's something else I want you to look at here. So, okay, everyone's making a big thing of this. They're saying that the blemish that had to be covered was the punch mark. And everyone is playing the clip of Charles punching him with his right arm, and he punches his left side of his face. And everyone's like, but the blemish at the party is on the right side of his face. So the blemish was from something else. And I'm like, no, guys, that's blood on his mouth. See the blood?
That's what I would assume.
See this because no one is getting this. Everyone thinks that thing is the punch mark. I'm like, no.
Well, and he also left the hospital like against medical advice, assuming not like all cleaned up and good to go. I just assumed it was dried blood when I saw it.
Yeah, no, we're meant to completely, it's canon at this point that the punch was the thing that Joy covered up with makeup. Like that plot is over. We've moved on. So people that keep speculating, I just wanted to once and for all clear the air on that. It's dried blood. There was the only other thing that I have a huge question about is this menage a trois poster. So check this out.
Oh yeah,
is the one that says, when I finally found this is in one frame, guys. I went through the episode and tried so hard to find a place where you can see the top of this poster that's got, it says menage a trois it's got a blue background
it's
and
like
three
pulling
people.
Back the curtain.
Yeah, there's pulling back a red curtain. Three people laughing, and they're like creepy, big, open, weird.
Can we tell whether this figure, like right underneath the curtain, is that the only image we ever see of it? Like where it's cut off, or can you tell whether it's a male figure or a female figure?
Oh no, that's a man in the middle, and I think it's meant to be two women on either side.
Two women. Then I'm going with it's gonna represent Dickie and Cinda and Loretta all being involved.
Nice.
Because I don't like.
That
I don't
supports
know.
the theory.
other than just more play on of 3 being the 3rd season or possibly 3 killers.
It's 3
Like,
killers, I think 100%.
yeah.
So you can see the
If
top
it's
of the
2 women and a man,
yeah, it's going
has
to
the
be. I
3
think it's going to be.
killers. It's funny to me that there is such a culture around this show for trying to figure out who
Yeah.
the murderer is.
Oh my God. Only murder
And-
season is like better than Halloween to me, which is saying
Yeah.
something.
Speaking of that, I'll just rewatch it while I finish decorating for Halloween, and maybe if I'm not
Yes.
actively paying attention, there'll be something. But I
Yes.
doubt it.
We can definitely almost guarantee that Matthew Broderick will be coming up soon, and he will be filling in for Charles.
Yeah,
That will happen. Mabel will work with Cinda in some form.
I could see that.
They're gonna team up with Tobby over there and all
Oh,
podcast
Tobby.
together, and it's gonna piss off Charles and Mabel. But they will get back together because I pulled a Kara, and I rewatched the trailer before. We
Oh
podcasted,
yeah.
and the only moment from the trailer that we have not already seen, y'all. She says to them outside Mabel says to the guys outside Bobo Malone's dressing room door, "Do you want to make a podcast with me?" And they all go like, "That was corny," or "That was cheesy." And then she goes, "Okay, murder." Like,
Yeah.
we haven't seen that scene yet. So they're obviously, shocking no one, the band will get back together, and I need to see it.
That'd be good.
Now.
Well, we also haven't seen the wedding dress stuff or Matthew Broderick.
Oh, right.
But
yeah, no, that's what I mean. Aside from Matthew Broderick,
okay, so I'm
wedding
gonna
dress.
rewatch all the episodes
Yeah.
and the trailer after.
Yeah, you gotta rewatch the trailer too, because stuff.
Yeah, there's stuff
it's
in there.
It's the only glimpse into the future that we have. So if we want to
Yep.
know anything more, yeah, that's
So
what we gotta look.
excited. This show's so fun.
So
like, even if we're all wrong, it'll be worth it.
So
and
fun.
entertaining.
Yes, I love Sherlocking.
Yeah.
Sherlocking. All right, guys, that is all we have for the episode. Now we're gonna get into some lovely, delicious, scrumptious feed crack. Oh, I'm so excited.
Woohoo.
A little bit shaky though, guys, because of the lack of it on this. It's so
Oh
weird
my
because in
God.
Mrs. Maisel we had so much feed. We had so much feed crack. Jade was permanently cracked out. I didn't even notice how much crack there. I mean, we knew there was a lot of feed crack, but on or Only Murders in the Building, there's like no feed crack. So Jade's sometimes
I want to know
for me to carry
theories and marvelous
I know.
moments.
I know. So I don't know why people are so hesitant to write in this time, because we're getting a ton of downloads. So it's not like people aren't listening. But listeners, if you're leaving feedback elsewhere, can you just like copy and paste it to us? Because elsewhere,
Yeah.
it seems that other channels don't read like all of their feed crack. To them, it's just mere feedback. Huh, they are not such addicts
Amateurs.
as I.
Amateurs.
They don't eat the feed crack like I do for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh God.
I love how this became a thing. Like Jade is just obsessed with listener feedback. I love feedback. I do. But, in all honesty, when I don't have it, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Mhm.
Don't be concerned.
Don't worry about Jade.
So, yeah. But it's surprising. So if you want to copy and paste your feedback that you tell other Only Murders podcast or YouTube episodes, then tell us as well, and we'll read it and we'll respond to it, and it'll be a rip-roaring hoot of a time. You want it. So first we got a new Apple Podcast review. It's a 5-star review from, help me out with this name, Kara.
Oh gosh.
Docias?
Doshai? I have no idea.
It's either Docias or Docias. So they say, I love listening to you three talk about your different theories. In episode 4, where you talk about the negative review that guy left, how he was upset about your gushing. I love the gushing. Certain things you just need to be gushed about. Very excited for your episode 5 review. Is Loretta Dickie's mom? That's what I
Yes.
think. Keep being awesome. Oh,
I like
you.
it.
There you are. Kara, that's her theory. For me, I'm thinking aunt.
That reminds me, like, people are talking about this was something actually, so I finally got one of my coworkers to listen to the show, so we were talking about it the other day, and she was telling me that people like in her household were looking at the note from the handkerchiefs, and assuming that Ben had written it and comparing his handwriting. And I was just like, how likely is it that Ben was the one handwriting all of those notes? Like, I would assume he would make Dickie do something like that. So
Agatha Christie level Kara.
right?
Yes.
But
my
that
friend,
would make
my friend does it.
much more
Kara,
sense.
the way you just brought that up too, so like casually, yes, I knew that I was
But
onto something when I thought to myself, we're comparing the wrong handwriting here.
yes,
But what you
that
just said
finally
about
triggered. I was like, oh wait, I had a conversation about this. Like,
no, because
that
we have
makes
a no,
sense.
you're absolutely right, because we have a perfect handwriting sample. The card
Yeah,
that Ben wrote to that says "fuck you."
it's too.
Ben probably told Dickie what to write on those cards. You're so
Yeah,
right. That's Dickie's handwriting.
like Ben's not doing that on his own. I'll just
Um,
jump straight to our next feedback is from YouTube, and
yes.
it's from user Price1 Todd. They said, I like what you said about Loretta being an aunt, because in episode 1, when we see the
Okay.
young lady growing up to pursue a career in acting, while we assume this is Loretta, we never see her face. I think it's fairly canon that it's Loretta, but I see your point. Could this young lady actually be Loretta's sister up until we see Loretta reading in her little nook? Also, it seems like no one has said anything about the narrations within the episodes. In season 2, I felt very strongly in the episode where Poppy does the narration that she was actually explaining how and why she did the murder. I think in the hindsight of the reveal, as I re-listened to that episode, my suspicion became very obvious. Now, in that particular narration, as with all of them, they actually seem to explain the scene they're attached to, but I always feel they really talk about something deeper to be discovered within the show. I mention this because I feel the episode with Cinda's narration about no one in New York taking time out for self-care is pointing to something deeper to be found later on in the show. One more thing. In episode 1, during the table read, Loretta has 2 bottles of Kimber's serum sitting in front of her. Do they know one another already? Things that make you go, I will say, I feel like we have brought up the narration a fair amount to tie into support for I say we. I feel like I brought it up just to try to support the whole idea of Loretta being Dickie's mother and all of the maternal
right. Yeah,
things.
we definitely touched on that.
But I agree that the narration is very important in the show and drops a lot of clues. And I assumed that Loretta had those bottles because Kimber left them for everyone.
No, so the bottles, I have pictures of this. So look at,
because I was like, if she did have 2 bottles, I would 100% assume that Kimber was just giving them out to everyone. But I also have not looked closely since.
So as you can see here, the bottles are not the same. This is the serum bottle with the
oh yeah, those are just like
cap.
water bottles.
And yeah, these 2 bottles are,
and
one is green with a gold cap and one is brown with a black cap. So
some sort of tincture. Maybe.
Yeah, some sort of tincture. There is origami also in front of Loretta, and these things might be clues because there's origami in her apartment as well. And then another, with another look, there's something on Loretta's desk. Can you see these things? So these are the serum bottles that are different from Kimber's. There's this thing in front of her that I cannot tell what the hell that is. If anyone can tell me what this thing is, I have question marks over it. It's like you can see it to the side view here, and
it looks like almost a little like post-it note holder or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too.
Like
there's one point where you
holder.
see it overhead and it kind of looks like there's something inside of it, like post-its. Yeah, I don't know if that's significant, but there's origami in front of her and in her apartment. Maybe clues, just calling them out.
That's interesting.
So that was what I thought of after I read Price Todd's message and what you say about that little girl being Loretta's sister. That would certainly support, the aunt theory. I'm like, maybe. I hadn't really thought about that because there's a picture of her and her mom that we don't see a little girl in. But when you have sisters, they're not in every single picture. So yeah, Loretta could have a sister. I think she did. I think it was a sister or a friend of hers that is Dickie's mom.
I'm going to go back
so much. Price
and
Todd,
listen.
Thank you for reaching out on YouTube. You are only YouTube comment, and I appreciate you.
Since now I think, since I'm pretty convinced that Cinda is somehow involved, I'm definitely going to rewatch the one with her narration and see if there's anything there.
That's the thing I've watched the most. That the first episode.
This is going to be fun.
I know.
I love this show.
All right, guys, let's wrap this baby up like a Christmas present. That's gonna be it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do me the favor, like it, spank the subscribe button like an errant child.
Oh God.
And
That's better than
comment.
like,
Leave us a comment. Tell us your
Jesus.
murderer theories. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, or you could punch it in the face like Charles did.
Yeah, punch that subscribe button
To
like Charles
Ben.
in the face. Yes. And leave us feedcrack for the love of the theater
Jade.
gods.
Yeah.
Gideon Gooseberry.
I love that name.
Oh, Gideon, feel him inside you. Come back next time for our review of season 3, episode 7, Cobra. And until then,
Yes.
I am Jade.
I'm Kara.
Thank you so much and good night.
I can't wait. Oh yeah. Okay. One more time. Use your stage voice. Sing out, Louise.
Thank you and
Your stage voice.
thank you and good night.
There you go. I like it.